Welcome to the Do Hard Things podcast. Today we have a repeat guest on the show. We have Stetson Soffer, aka Soffer D, aka the coach, and aka the GOAT. All right, we had him on here a few weeks ago, and he has accomplished some extraordinary results between then and now, to where I felt like we had to have him on again so that he could share with the world some remarkable things he did. So Stetson, glad to have you back.
Thank you to have me back. Am I the first repeat guest?
Other than my wife?
Okay.
Yes.
I'll take it. I'll take that. Yes. I'll take second to Josie anytime.
Yes.
The Queen Soriano.
That's right. Seriously, it's great to be back. If you guys don't know Stetson Soffer, Stetson, where can people find you?
On Instagram at Stetson Soffer. You can find me there. That's pretty much it.
We got to get Stetson on more platforms.
Yes.
We got to get him dancing on TikTok. Huh?
Yeah, that's right. TikTok coming soon. YouTube coming soon.
Come on.
Maybe.
No, seriously, this guy has such wisdom, and I feel like he is one of the industry's best kept secrets. And I remember earlier this year, he told me that he wanted to have a Michael Jordan and Kobe year. You know, and we all know Michael Jordan, Kobe, they are one of the greatest, if not actually the greatest, basketball players, always. Mm-hmm. And so I remember he said, I want to have a Michael Jordan, Kobe year. In other words, he wanted to accomplish some results that no one has done before. And the biggest reason we have him on here is because he did 51 solar accounts in 3 weeks. And these are all 100% his. I find that sometimes in the industry, people put up big numbers, but it was kind of a team effort with other people to where other people signing their tools, stuff like that. But Stetson did it all with a team, of course, and we'll get into that. But he closed 51 deals in 3 weeks during November, which is huge. So before we get into that, Stetson, share with us kind of a little bit about you, your story, who you are.
Yeah. Stetson Soffer. I grew up in Southern California. I grew up playing football and basketball, and never really found. I went to junior college. I never finished going there while I was playing football. I never really found like the correct lane for me to like kind of thrive in life. Around when I was 25, people have heard the story on how I got hooked up with Legacy, and the rest is history. I was a dude that didn't quite have it figured out, and finally was able to, and I'm still figuring things out, but was finally able to find a lane and a vehicle to really progress in life and to just create the life that I want for myself. I'm the district manager for the Vista office here at Legacy Power. We might just be the top office of the year. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. And I'm grateful to be here.
You know, I always find a similarity between people who did athletics. They tend to do they tend to do well in sales. Why do you think that is? Why do you think people who did football, basketball, whatever, that were great in those sports and then they do well in sales?
I would say it's for me, speaking from my own experience, it's the competitive nature. Yeah. I grew up like my dad is from the Middle East. He didn't grow up playing football and basketball. I just wanted to compete in something, and those are the sports where I could do that. So I think how it translates into sports is, or how it translates into sales is being able to work as a team. All team sports, obviously, you can't just rely on yourself. You need others to help you, and you have to help them in order to get your goal. And I feel that's the same with this job here. So I would say working as a team and just that competitive nature that a lot of people are born with. Some aren't, but the people that are tend to find themselves in sports. Yeah. And then later in life, if you can translate that into sales, and the results speak for themselves.
Right. Yeah, and for anyone listening that maybe is not in sales but has an athletic background, you should consider getting into sales because, like you said, there's that competitiveness, that desire to want to win. Because sales there's a scoreboard.
There is.
Right? In football, there's a scoreboard. Mm-hmm. Soccer, basketball, there's a scoreboard. And like I said, sales, there's a cool correlation between people that do well in athletics tend to do well in sales if they can see the similarities. The fact that there's a scoreboard, the fact that there's a competitive nature, the fact that you want to win, you want to be the best, right? Because it is a skill set. 100%. And so, I think people that are that were in athletics that maybe you're working 9 to 5 right now, but want to get in sales, like definitely get into it.
Yeah.
So
one of my favorite compliments that I've heard is, I mean, obviously one of my nicknames is like the coach. And it's funny because I've had new reps come in and tell me like, this feels like a football team, or this feels like a basketball team, or something like that. Just the environment that we create in a good way, right? It's the good parts of having that, like that team locker room type feel. So I always love hearing that from reps.
yeah, and numbers don't lie, right, Stetson? Lil Wayne once said, "Women lie, men lie." I forget the rest. You
Numbers
know.
don't.
Numbers don't lie. I thought it was something in the middle. But numbers don't lie. They don't, right? Numbers are not emotional. Numbers are just boom. That's what it is there. Yeah. And, when you look at Stetson's number, so we're recording this about middle of November of 2022. Year to date, Stetson has over 300 accounts. So we're going to sold. So we're going to talk about how he got 51 in 3 weeks. But you can see that Stetson is not an individual who just, has a short burst and then boom. Like, no, he's been consistent throughout the whole year. Yeah. And he's right now at over 300 accounts on the year. Still has another 6 weeks left until the year's over. And not only does he have great personal numbers, but like you said, this feels like a football team. Yeah. His office, so he's the district manager for Vista. His office on the year has over 1,500 accounts sold. And they'll end around maybe 900 installs on the year. And, most of that volume actually just came in the last 3 weeks alone, because during this 3 weeks where Stetson himself got 51 deals, his office did over 250. So it's incredible to me that Stetson's not just an individual that has great personal numbers, but where he also leads a team that also has great volume and great numbers as well. And I feel like that's hard to do. There's a lot of people in the space that are great salespeople, but to be a great salesperson and a great leader, that is rare. So, I mean, it's just insane. And I go back to the fact that you told me you want to have a Kobe year, Michael Jordan year. And Stetson, I believe you are having, because I would challenge the solar industry, like, is there anyone out there right now that has more than 300 closed accounts? Is there anyone right now where their office has done over 1,500 signed accounts on the year? And if that's you, I'm curious. I would love to also get you on here so we can learn what you're doing. But what did when you said I want to have a Kobe, Michael Jordan year, what did that mean to you? And why'd you say that?
Yeah. Well, one, it's just like the natural progression that we have here at Legacy, where you come in as a setter. So like I joined here in 2019 in October, right before like this Masters competition that year. And I was able to do 6, and I was learned from my great mentor and one of my best friends, Malik Dayani. And then from there, it was shout out to Malik. And then from there, it was like becoming a closer and becoming a mentor. And then in 2020, I was the top rep that year. And I signed 21, and then it was like, okay, how can I take it to a bigger level? How can I have guys under me? The following year, we did it again with 36, and that in 2021. But I still wasn't not that I wasn't fulfilled. I was very grateful, very fulfilled. But I wanted like a mic drop year, where not only was I putting up the biggest numbers, but my team was. Right, like this 51 that I just signed in 3 weeks. Tyler Dingville, a guy who I've mentored and trained, he did 14. Gus Sanchez, who I mentored and trained, did 16. Johnny DeLeggi did 12. Wow. Right, and they were all out there with me doing it. So that's what it meant. It was like, yeah, you can be the guy who's putting up the biggest numbers, but can you have the guys that you've directly trained to also do that? Yeah. So that's what it meant to me. Going from a setter to a mentor to an assistant district manager to a district manager, and doing it at the highest level each time. That like what it meant to me was just that like it made sense, because all like how my mind works is like, what's the next thing and how can I do it better? Wow. And this is what it meant.
And I love that. So if I can condense everything you just said, there's levels to it. Yeah. Right. A lot of people want to come in any industry, right, and right away be like the top guy. Yeah. Right. But you weren't the top guy for the first year, right? And like you said, I think your first Masters, you were a setter. You did six, right? Year 2019, right? Mm-hmm. New to the industry. the same time period, 3 weeks, because the reasons in 3 weeks is we have this massive sales competition, the biggest one that we have all year. That's like the first 3 weeks of December, just to end the year, or just before we go on the holidays. That's why we do it. And the first one did 6, right? Now, some people, that's like, hey, 6 and I'm happy. Cool, he did 6. Year 2, right, you did 21, right? And again, levels to it, right? He went from a setter, 21 Savage. He went from a setter with 6, now a closer, year 2, okay? But then year 3,
we did 36.
36. Now, then you were starting in leadership.
Yep.
So you had a few people that now you also trained up. But then where you had your breakout year was this year. Because this year, your production, your level of personal production went up, but also you had people that you've mentored in 2020 and 2021 that also had their best year as well. I know for Gus getting 16 in 3 weeks, to some that's nothing, but to Gus, that's a peak for him, right?
Massive.
And so all that to say, people need to understand that there's levels to it. You just can't year one expect, it's not working. No, it takes time, right? And you focus on first being the best setter, then the best closer, and then this year you focus on being the best leader. And that's hard, but you can't go from setter to leader right away, right? It's like, cool.
You can't. I always tell, shout out to one of my other guys, Jiraiya Caratini. That's my ace. I love that kid. But I always tell him, you can't go from step 1 to step 10. Exactly. You can't do that. You have to continue to level yourself up. And yeah, I don't want to coin the term or say the term baby steps, because it's not baby steps that we're taking. We're putting ourselves in uncomfortable positions. And that's when you grow, and that's when you start to climb those levels. And another thing just to touch on, it is weird that it was 6, 21, 36, 51. Each time was 15 more. I don't know how or why. I'm still trying to figure out what the number 15 means. But yeah, man, just super grateful. And there's levels to this. I love when people tell me like, oh, I'm coming for your spot and this and that. I love it. And I'm like, yo, keep coming, because I want to push you and you're pushing me forward. But just know, I wasn't here overnight. This was something that took years in the making. And I love it. I love the challenges that come along with leading so many guys, leading an office, putting up this kind of volume. It excites me.
So what's the next level for Stetson Soffer?
That is a great question. And I guess we'll see. I don't have the exact answer for it. It's funny, for like maybe an hour on Sunday, after the Masters was over and I knew we won and everything, I was like, do I just stop now? Like, is that it? Like, do I just go do something else? I don't know. And then like after that, I was like, yeah, no, we're gonna keep crushing it. We're gonna keep going. And I think what's next is, I want, as a district manager, I want more offices that I can lead. And I see no plan of slowing down in terms of selling.
That's right.
Absolutely not. So.
I mean, the greats in any industry never stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Tom Brady's still out there. Tom Brady's got 7 Super Bowl rings. He's still out there doing it. Floyd Mayweather's 50 something and 0. He's still doing it. So I just want to keep, and not to compare myself to those guys, right? But
it's the same attitude.
Same attitude.
Same attitude.
Yep.
So it's the attitude of, hey, I'm grateful for what I've accomplished so far, but I'm not satisfied, right?
No, I want to keep going.
Always more.
Yeah. And I love the, people call me the GOAT and they give me these praises and I love them, but I still am like, there's still so much that, like 51, I'm like, I could have done 60 something, I think, these past few weeks had I just changed a few things. You know what I mean? So that's how I feel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get into some of the practicals, because I'm sure people are dying to know the what. Like, how did you do it? What did you do? And it's crazy. People think there's like this crazy secret sauce. No. There's no, or how do we say it?
There's no secret sauce, mate.
Yeah, there isn't, right? We say it. There is no secret sauce. People always think it's like something special you're saying, but it's really creating this. If I could summarize how you did it in a way that's simple, it's you created an atmosphere, an atmosphere and an environment where working hard was the norm. That's it. Working hard was the norm. And I would love to get into some of the practicals of what you did, because that's what you did, right? Because as a leader, we have to understand that our environment is very important to us. If we're in an environment where there's a lot of distractions, where it's easy to quit, where it's easy to kind of hide, then yes, it's harder to achieve extraordinary results. But if you're in an environment where all you can do is work, where there's high level accountability, where you literally can't hide, then achieving extraordinary results becomes a little bit simple, right? And I feel that you created that. You created this culture where for your guys, because one thing Stetson is great at is really instilling good work ethics in his setters. And I'm a big believer of what I call specialization, meaning, know what you're good at and freaking dominate that thing and then outsource the rest, right? And Stetson, where he's best utilized is in a home, right? Because he can outsource the knocking, right? Now, can Stetson knock 1,000%, right? But his time is best utilized in the home. And Stetson has been so good at training his guys to be phenomenal people in the doors so that he's just in appointments all day long. But again, those guys are great because he taught them the way. So, getting into some of the practicals, I know one thing you did is you created this environment where all you could do was knock. You did it by just doing a blitz that's a few hours away. Right? You don't have to get on an airplane or anything. Right. But instead of just being in the comfort of home, you're like, you know what? Let me go a few hours away to where literally you can't go anywhere else. So talk us through that. Kind of what inspired that? Why'd you do it?
So I did it last year. On a smaller scale, but I did it last year with I think it was 5 or 6 of us that we did it. Shout out to my guys, Bradley Ross, Noah was out there, and a few other guys. And I realized then that this is like just a really powerful way to, just like you said, create an atmosphere where all we're gonna do is we're gonna work during the day, and then we're gonna hang out, we're gonna chill at night. It's not like we're it's like boot camp or anything. It's still like we're chilling, hanging out at night, having a good time. But it's just creating this atmosphere of just going and getting it. You know what I mean? Just going and this is what I'm here to do. I'm here to work. I'm here for a goal. I'm here for a mission. And so after that, I had these, you've heard me maybe a little bit talk about the phases of this year. So I had these 4 phases of phase 1 was realization that we can go and be the best team. Wow. And it was me, and I planned these blitzes earlier this year, or I had other big months with certain of my guys. And it was realizing that, guys, we can put up crazy numbers all the time. We have to realize that these months of having 20 plus or whatever, it should be normal for us, and 30 plus should be normal. And so that was phase 1. Phase 2 is just stabilization. It's kind of hard to do that, to go and leave your family, to go out on a blitz, whether it's for a weekend or a whole week, whatever it may be. But realizing that we have to be able to make this sustainable. We have to make sure that we can continuously do this. Phase 3 was an uphill battle of knowing that there are challenges that come with if you sign 10 accounts in a neighborhood or a city you don't live in, not being able to maybe follow up with those leads or whatever it may be. There's challenges that come with it. So phase 3 was the uphill battle. And then phase 4, I called it the spectacle, because I knew that, hey guys, we've been trained this whole year to do this. Wow. I've had you on blitzes this whole year. I've put you in this atmosphere this whole year, whether it was for 4 days or a week. So phase 4 was this spectacle of, we're going to do this for 3 weeks, and we're going to be operating at our peak highest level that we can. And this is normal for us. This isn't going to be uncomfortable. This is going to be exactly what we've been training for all year.
That's crazy. And it goes back to, there's levels.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Phase 1. I would encourage you, rewind that, go back 5 minutes, listen to it again, because I feel like what Stetson just said in those 5 minutes was just so valuable. And again, just, there's a process to it, right? You don't achieve extraordinary results. You don't achieve over 300 accounts year to date or 1,500 for your team by pure luck or just by winging it, right? I had no clue that there was 4 phases to this. I've seen it I saw phase 4 and I was like, I didn't know what that meant. I thought that was Cell from Dragon Ball Z, the final form. Anyways, but that's cool. So phase 1, realization.
Phase 1 was realization. Phase 2 was stabilization. Phase 3 was the uphill battle. Knowing that it's going to be tough. We're going to start to feel burnt out. I got married during the, you know what I mean? There's so many different things that happened. Shout out to my wife, Nadia. There were so many things that happened, and we deal, look, this job, it's tough. We're going to deal with customers that don't like us or that want to cancel and all these things. And we deal with it all. And in phase 3, I told my guys, I was like, hey, you're going to want to quit. You're going to want to quit. This is going to be hard. This is the phase 3 was, if we get up this hill and we're here, phase 4 is going to be the spectacle. Wow. We're going to be ready for this. We're going to be able to handle it. And so that's what it was. It was realization, stabilization, the uphill battle, the spectacle.
So are you still in phase 4 or you've accomplished it?
Phase 4 is been accomplished.
Okay,
phase
cool.
4 is done. That being said, I am not done with this year yet. I still got a few things that I want to finish off with doing. And maybe this can be like a post-credit scene. You know what I mean? From November to the end of the year, see what I can do, and then we'll see what happens with phase 5.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome, man. Yeah. So this 3 weeks where Stetson got 51 deals was during the spectacle season, right? And everything you did from January till now led up to this moment. Yeah. And that's awesome, man. So, going back to the blitz, because I think that's a very, in this industry, I find that sometimes people make this job harder than it needs to be. Yeah. And one thing you're great at is you make it fun. I actually had a chance to spend about 2 nights with his group while he was doing the blitz, and it really, I love the structure. It was like cool. During the morning, we all kind of hang out a little bit, have some coffee, breakfast, whatever, and then they just send it on the doors from like 9 to dark and even beyond, right? And no one gets home. Like most people don't get home till 8, 9 o'clock at night, right? I know you're in appointments probably till past that. Yeah. And it creates this high level of accountability to where like you don't want to be the last one in the home,
exactly,
right? Because they're all in Airbnb, right? You literally can't go home. Like that's the atmosphere that they're in, and so all you can do is work, right? Yeah. And then, but when you come home, you guys, I noticed you guys did a debrief, right? You guys talked about the day, and then you planned for the next day. Like, all right, this is where we're hitting up. This is what we're doing. You're going here. You're going there, right? Yeah. I call that the general's tent. There was saying in the Art of War, shout out to Sun Tao, whatever his name is, the guy, The Art of War, the book, but he talks about having a general's tent meeting, where you meet with your warriors and you say, all right, this is what we're doing, boom, boom, boom. So that way the next day, you're not thinking about what you're doing, but you're executing.
Just doing it.
So I got to see it happen. And then also you guys had fun, right? Yeah. We play Z-Ball. Z-Ball is one of the funnest games you can play. You guys, I remember Tyler and
Johnny.
And Johnny brought a guitar and you were rapping.
Singing and rapping,
So it's like we don't have to overcomplicate it. It's like create a culture where it's like high accountability. We all got to work, but then at the end of the day, we have a little bit of fun, right? We recharge a little bit, and I feel like that is a huge testament to your leadership. To where it's like, again, because your guys also got extraordinary results, right? Because some of your setters also had one of their best
amazing months.
So I mean, what else would you add to the blitz kind of atmosphere? And again, the whole blitzing is not, you have to travel to another state. Right. It can be as simple as, dude, just go get an Airbnb an hour away from where you live, right? And the whole point of it is just to create this atmosphere where you can't go home, because let's be real, when we're most comfortable when we're home. Right? You're most comfortable when you're in your own room when no one else is watching you. So it's creating this atmosphere. It's like, no, we literally, all we're going to do for the next 2, 3, 4, however long weeks is work. Well, what else would you add to the whole blitz?
I would say, number one, I'm forever grateful, and I feel extremely blessed that the guys I do get to work with are all just amazing dudes. I mean, one of the coolest parts about, like, when we were leaving Saturday night and we were all headed back home, like, guys were genuinely sad because we didn't get to all hang out with each other anymore. And so grateful, like, everyone that's a part of my team and that was at this last blitz we did is just such amazing people. And so I would say to that, like, when you're building your team, you know the right guys to put on your team, right? I would say, if you're going to have people leave their families for whether it's a weekend or a few weeks, whatever it may be, you better be ready to lead them 100% and lead from the front. Because if these guys are willing to leave their family, their kids, whatever at home, and come and listen to me so that we can all reach this goal of whatever it is that we want to hit, signing a bunch of deals, then I better be on my P's and Q's. And I better be ready to create an atmosphere where, like, hey, there's food in the fridge. Great. I know the hoods that you guys should knock. great. You're not just coming out here with a chicken with your head cut off, hoping that you can get some leads and sign some deals. Like I'm setting them up for success, because Michael Jordan said this, like, if you're willing to sit down every night for 3 hours and watch me on the television, then it's my absolute duty to give you my best. And I feel the same way with my guys, the same way.
That's huge. Again, testament to your leadership, right?
Yeah.
That you're like, man, these guys are giving me, like, I've always believed that time is their most valuable resource, right? Because no matter who you are, what skin color, what age, what gender, what how much money you have, we all have 24 hours in a day. And I believe when someone is willing to give you time, then it's important to respect it and honor it, And I've always been a big advocate of, for example, when we run our sales meetings, to make sure that whoever's running that sales meeting leads it with excellence, because they're giving you their time, right? So, and you said that, right? Your guys gave you time that maybe belonged to their wives or belonged to their children or belonged to their friends or to themselves. And they're like, cool, I'm going to honor you, Stetson, as my leader. And then you're like, you didn't take that lightly. You're like, all right, these guys are giving me their time. I will do my absolute best to honor it. And again, that's a testament again to your leadership. Like, I know that your guys would literally take a bullet for you. Straight up. Like, I know, like, I've seen how much his people love him and respect him. Again, from the setters to the mentors to like Stetson has trained a wide range of people, right? A lot of the people that are now closers were once his setters, right? But Stetson poured into them, didn't just teach him how to set appointments, also taught him the art of closing, the operations behind that, right? The mindset behind it. And, really you're a dynamic leader. So because you respect their time and you've always helped them become. So, Stetson, one thing I want to talk about is how have you gotten massive buy-in from your people? Because I also see from observing you, that's one thing you excel at. So, there's this great book I love. It's called Business Secrets from the Bible. Whether you believe in the Bible or not, it's irrelevant because you can get a lot of value there. But I remember one of the secrets that I talked about was this thing of specialization. That if you want to accomplish great wealth, you have to understand specialization. And Henry Ford, for example, didn't become rich because he made cars. Henry Ford became rich because he invented the assembly line, right? To where instead of one person doing everything, it's like, no, cool, you handle this person handles that. And I feel like you've created this beautiful assembly line in the soul industry to where it's like, okay, cool, you right now, you're best for making appointments. We call them setters, right? Boom, you do that. Okay, hey, you're a closer. Your time is best spent in the home, right? Okay, boom, you do that. Hey, you're a leader. Your time is best spent leading sales meetings, trainings, whatever. And I feel like your team is very good at that. And you've always gotten great buy-in from your people because everyone knows their role and everyone excels in their roles instead of everyone doing everything. So how have you gotten just massive buy-in from your people all the way from the newest person to the most veteran person on your team?
I would say, number one, and like, I feel like everything we're saying today, besides a few things, is like people, they kind of know it, you know what I mean? Like leading from the front. Like, I think if you want to get massive buy-in, you have to be leading from the front. You have to be showing, like, I don't mean this in a harsh way, but like when I first start training someone, I'm very like, hey, like I got your back and I really want to help you succeed. But also like, just know, like, no offense, like I don't need you. I want to help you. And like, I want you to understand that. Like I really do not need to be mentoring you. I can mentor anybody, right? And still go and be successful. But I want to mentor you because I want to help you. And with doing that, when I'm telling you things, like understand that like I mean it and I'm only saying it so that we can both benefit from it. So I think that's number one. And it's because I do feel that way. And I really do. Anyone that I'm mentoring, I genuinely do care for. And so I would say that's number one, is keeping that understanding that like everything I'm telling you is only to help you. And then just showing them that through results. I would say another thing, this is silly and simple, but like I'm also just not afraid to like just let my hair down and like just be kind of funny and little crazy with them. You know what I mean? Whether it's like on a ride back home, like after we just got done knocking, you know what I mean? I'll put on an instrumental and we'll just freestyle, or we'll just start joking about whatever. Me and shout out to my boy Bradley. We used to just like talk smack to each other in like different accents. You know what I mean? And just funny, silly things like that. Like I don't know.
Give us a teaser. Give us a little.
funny accent. I had this one customer who had like this crazy lisp, and he was crazy. He just used to be like, "Hey Stetson, when are you gonna get my panels? You're gonna put those panels up for me, or is Bradley gonna have to do it? What's going on with you two?" No, but that's just one of them.
I love that. Yeah. Make it fun. Make it fun, right?
That's it.
Like achieving extraordinary results doesn't have to be the serious, audacious. Like have you have fun. You find ways to make it fun along the way.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that leading from the front, making it fun, and then showing the results. That's it. And like back to the whole, there's no secret sauce. I feel like people know that. But I've learned it from guys like you and Malik and Jordan and Jake and just kind of crafted it to my own thing. Yeah.
So then now going to you, Stetson. So you got 51 in 3 weeks. I mean, what did it take you? Because you were in a lot of homes.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like you also sat in 51 appointments.
Right.
You sat in way more appointments. Mm-hmm. You had credit fails. You had people who ghosted you. You had people who maybe shut it down at the doors, right? You had people who gave you a lot of resistance and didn't close, okay? So getting 51 deals didn't mean you sat in 51 closes, right? I'm sorry. You probably sat in, I don't know, I would say 100 closes or something, maybe more.
I'll tell you the number.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so just tell us, what did it take? Because I know for me, my initial thought is, dude, like, when did you eat? Like, how did you not get burnt out? Like, I know for me and my peaks in my personal journey, I went through moments where like I literally couldn't even like hold a thought because I was just so tapped out. So what did it take for you, man?
Yeah. I would say number one is like keeping the energy high. So that's for me, and it's for my guys, right? Because like you said, the whole assembly line thing, there is days where like guys they'll go 3-4 days and not get a lead, right? Stuff like that. And it's tough to keep them to keep them bought in. And so my energy directly correlates to that, right? So I'd say number one is I kept my energy high. I had an end goal. Like I like you said, back to the whole phase 4 thing. I kind of just assumed, like we assumed the close. I just assumed the whole time that this was going to happen. Wow. So I didn't really think about it. So I just kind of had the blinders on and was like, this is what we're doing. We're going for it.
So your goal was 50 from the start. So you knew that, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't like Sunday, you're like, oh, I got 51. Dope. Yeah. Like, no, you knew from
it was going to be 50.
50, okay.
Absolutely.
So that's
it was
awesome.
Going to be 50.
And that's huge right there.
Yeah, before, shout out to Luke and Damien, before they like teased me, like, oh, I heard some guys are going to get 50. How many are you going to get? And I was like, oh, I don't know. The whole time I was like, more than 50. You know what I mean? That's just what I kept thinking. But yeah, so it was just putting the blinders on, understanding the vision, keeping the energy high, because it is tough for, to keep those guys bought in when they go 2-3 days and don't get a lead. That's tough. It's I know how tough this job can be. So that,
and it was raining
and
week.
Freezing.
It was like, I remember when I got out there, it was like 39 degrees and raining and windy.
Yeah.
And I was like,
and we're from San Diego.
We're from San Diego.
I was like, bro.
Oh my! Like it wasn't like we had. This is November. Yeah. Right. It got dark at 5:30, and guys still knocked till like 8 o'clock. Yeah. They still knocked 1 or 2, sometimes 3 hours past dark. Yeah. So there was a lot of challenges that your guys had, and so how many appointments did you sit in? So
I sat in 66.
Okay.
And we had 8 credit fails.
Wow.
Yeah. So just a couple didn't close.
That's a great closing ratio.
Yeah. Just a few. I think 5 or 6 didn't close, and then we had the credit fails. So that's why I say, like, I think we could have done more. Wow. Like there was a 4-day span during the 3 weeks where like I think we maybe only signed like 5 or 6 in like a 3-4 day span where we just kind of dipped, and it was those days when it was raining, when it was cold and all that. Had we figured out how to combat that, maybe a little bit, I think we could have done more. I 100% think that 60 is easily what we could have done. Yeah. All good. I'm still very grateful for the 51, but yeah, I think we could have done more. Keeping the energy high, keeping the blinders on, understanding the vision, and then last thing I'll say is making sure that you're still making those phone calls to your wife or your significant other, because obviously a lot of time was spent into this, and I think like for me, talking to Nadia just always kind of like levels me back down and kind of relaxes me, and so yeah, that's
I'm curious, what did that look like? Because I mean, I'm sure there were days where you were just in appointments or knocking from morning till dark. Yeah. How'd you balance the the marriage and working?
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, I know you've told me, it's like, I don't really believe in balance. When I was working, I was working. I was all in. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, who wants solar? Who we sitting down with next? What's your social? Like, you know what I mean? That was me.
Yeah.
And then when I was talking to my wife, I was just talking to my wife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And maybe sometimes I'd complain to her about it. I was like, yeah, babe, this customer said this or no. But yeah, it's just being all in when whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say. You know, wake up at 9.
Yeah.
Straight, whether it's straight to appointments or to the doors, whatever. And then whether I'm home at 9 or 10 or whatever, jump on a phone call, level yourself out, and then just hang out for the rest of the night.
I take it you probably also had a conversation with her prior to all that to kind of prep her for what the next 3 weeks were going to look like, right?
Yeah.
You know, we say communication is key in really almost anything you do.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you had that communication. She went into it already like, okay, cool. The priority right now is the Masters for Stetson, you know, and of course, most of the time the marriage will come first. But hey, there's seasons where sometimes work kind of comes first, and as long as it's communicated, you know, because
she understood that. I said, hey, look, babe, for the next 3 weeks, I'm going to be very busy.
Yeah.
And she knows that I've been busy this whole year. You know what I mean? She's
like, Stetson, you're busy. You're busy every day. What do you mean?
Yeah.
It's funny because my wife, Josie actually reached out. I don't know if I told you, Josie reached out to Nadia. Yeah, I asked her, I'm like, hey, can you reach out to Nadia just to make sure that, you know, just check in on her, just, you know, as a friend. And Josie like, hey, like, how are you doing with Stetson? Like, the Masters coming up, he's going to be busy. And then Nadia's like, what do you mean? Stetson's busy all the time. Like, this is nothing.
Yeah, it's normal. It's normal. It's just, it is what it is, right? No, but she's a great person to have in my corner and always be there for me and uplift me.
Yes,
yeah, I don't know if anyone that's seen like the Rocky movies, but she's like Mickey to Rocky. Like she's always, you know what I mean? Like humbling me and bringing me back down to earth or whatever. So I love her, and she's the perfect partner that you could have in a situation like this.
That's the key right there to 51.
Yeah.
Just find a good wife.
That's right. That's it. That is it. That is it.
So I'm curious, Stetson. I'm sure you had moments where maybe you broke down. I mean, you're human. You have emotions too. Yeah. I'm sure you had moments where you got pissed, or you had moments where you had doubts maybe. Kind of talk me through just how did you regulate those moments? You know, what action steps did you do? Or are you just a freak of nature and you just never achieve that?
I may or may not be a freak of nature. No, I'm just, but no, there's definitely moments where I was like, damn, this is hard. Like, this is hard. Maybe I invited too many guys to the blitz. Like, maybe this is too many people to lead. Or maybe I picked the wrong area to do the blitz in. Or whatever. Yeah. So I had doubts, but for me, it's just believing in the end goal. And like, I just knew, like, at the end of the day, I'm going to figure this out, because this is not my first rodeo. I've been doing this all year. I knew it's a numbers game. I knew there's going to be times when this would suck. I knew there's going to be times when reps would tell me that this sucks. I want to go home. Right. And it's just, for me, it's just believing in that vision, that Jordan year, that spectacle, that phase 4, that this is happening. Saturday night at 7:00, I had 49. And I told you I was hitting 50. Yeah. I told the guys I was hitting 50. I told myself I was hitting 50. And I was at 7:00, the curtains were beginning to close. Yeah. And shout out to two of my guys, Jonah and Jariah. They both had gotten leads and set up Zoom appointments. Because it was late, the sun was down, it's Saturday night, no one really wants to meet. They both sent Hail Mary texts to these customers. Like, hey, we can do a quick Zoom, 20, 30 minutes, whatever. And both agreed to it. Wow. I'm headed back home. My Tesla's dying. It's taking me, we're like in the middle of the nowhere, crop fields, trying to find the closest Tesla charging station. I'm driving with Chris Chow, and you had to be there. It was one of those moments. This whole 3 weeks is one of those things. I wish we had filmed more of it. I really do, because I think it could have been some amazing content. Sure. But at the end of the day, you just had to be there. In that moment, before 7:00, 6:59, I was like, shit, I think 49 is what I'm going to have to live with. And then the moment that first Zoom started, I was like, this is happening. I'm getting this lady to sign up. Zoom calls, as you know, in the soul industry, some people love them. I like them. They're not ideal. I'd rather be with the person face to face, but of course they're doable. Zoom calls while you're driving in the middle of nowhere where it's pitch dark, there's no lights or anything like that, and talk about the connection. Yeah. I swear to God, 20 minutes into it, where she's listening, I'm thinking this is gonna happen. The connection fails for like at least a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And Stetson, I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Stetson. I think I'm just gonna have to call you tomorrow. And I'm like, wait, no. Can you hear me? Can you hear? I'm like I'm not even an autopilot. I'm speeding through this crop field to get to a spot that has better service so that she can hear me. And finally I get to a point, she can hear me. She's like, oh, there you are. And I'm like, I look at Chow and I'm like, it's over. This is happening. I'm like, yep. So now all we got to do is yada, yada, yada. I got to get you qualified. I'm going to send you some documents. I'll read you through everything. And her daughter's right there. And she goes, yep, okay, let's do it. We have dinner in like 30 minutes. So let's just get this done. I'm like, okay, perfect. Boom. So we got it done. But it was one of those moments, even me describing it now doesn't really like show how crazy it was. But in the moment, it literally felt like, the clock is ticking. I got the ball in my hands and I gotta hit this shot. And then for the second one, number 51, I was like, bro, this is happening. I was like, I just did what to me was the hardest close I've ever had to do. So the second one, which still wasn't easy, was an analytical type customer, was able to halfway through it, be able to park and plug the Tesla in and finish it off. But yeah, so
I mean, that's literally a Game 7 buzzer beater. Mm-hmm. It was the half court.
Yeah, it was the I had a quote unquote Michael Jordan moment last year during the Masters. I signed one at like 10 o'clock at night. This one to sign two when I thought I was going to end up at 49 was my moment. And I just challenge everyone. I don't mean to sound like, oh, this is all about me, but make it about yourself. At the end of the day, like this is the movie, and this is the part where you hit that game-winning shot, where you turn it around and you make it happen, where the bad guy has you cornered and there's no way for you to get out, and you get out. That was my moment Saturday night. Yeah. And so yeah, that's how I look at it.
That is just incredible.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, talk about, again, having a Kobe, Michael Jordan year. I mean, you've done that, and you still have 6 weeks left in the year, but I really do believe that, and again, this is why I said in the beginning, I feel like Stetson is one of the solar industry's best kept secrets, and I feel like more people need to hear his story, more people need to hear just what he's done, and, like you may look at his numbers and just see numbers, but there's many stories behind that, right? There's stories like the one that he just shared, and I'm sure many, many more, right, of where you walked in and you thought this wasn't going to close, and it did somehow magically, or you walked in and you smelled like piss everywhere, and you're like, there's no way this person's going to pass credit, and he does, it's crazy the amount of stories that this industry really
the moments, and I think if you're in the industry, if you're in the door knocking industry in general, you can relate to that. There's so many crazy things, and like I said, like I wish we had a camera rolling the whole time, because I could have put out like a whole series, I think, from these past few weeks on just funny, interesting, entertaining clips from this job, because it's moments. It really is.
So to wrap things up, Stetson, what are some advice? What's an advice you would give to people out there in the solar industry? Maybe to people that are learning how to set appointments, right? And then people that are closing. Yeah. Just what advice? If you could talk to 2019 Stetson and maybe shorten the gap, call it, to where it took you. Like how long it took you, or to shorten the gap to where you are today. Like, what would you tell that version of yourself as well?
Yeah, I would say number one, that consistency is key. That it sounds super generic and corny, but consistency is everything. Yeah. If you want to get good at knocking doors, knock more doors. If you want to get good at closing, sit in more appointments, right? And so I would say that's number one. Understand that. Number two is set smart goals for yourself. Like you said, you can't go from level 1 to level 10. Start at level 1, see where you're at, and then try to build from there. I didn't just tell myself I'm going to go from closing 5 deals a month to 20 to 30. Like, it was like, I'm going to sign 5, and then how can I get to 10? Yeah. How can I get to 15? And then from there, right? And so that it's like I didn't walk in 2019 and look at Ashton Buswell and say, I'm coming for you. I didn't. I just was like, all right, I'm at this level. How can I get to the next level? And just go from there. And then make it fun for yourself. this job isn't for everybody. So sales is not for everybody. But if you think it is, then truly believe it and set yourself goals and have a vision for yourself. So where you can see yourself in a year, in 6 months, or in 5 years, whatever it is. Have that vision, and then build off that. And don't let this is hard. Don't let the pressure get to you. You know what I mean? I know I have at certain points. I was close a couple times early in my solar career of walking away and doing something that is way easier and pays you way less, by the way. But I was close to doing that. But at the end of the day, I understood that like pressure makes diamonds, and I truly believe that. I saw the vision. I saw the end goal. And yet I'm still like, I mean, me with signing ever many accounts, I'm still like, I can get better. You know what I mean? I still am like always learning from guys like Jack Pastrana, Jake Elliott, Malik, Clayton, like all these people that we have on our solar team in the Valor division and all throughout Legacy. I'm still constantly learning and trying to get better. And so that's the mind state that I stay in. Yeah. And I would challenge anyone to try to stay in that mind state as well.
If I can reiterate, just I think the third one you said about having fun, I feel like after being in this industry for 7 years, seeing hundreds of people, I've personally mentored probably around 40 or so people like in this job, and I have noticed that I think one of the common denominators that people usually struggle with in the beginning is they think it has to be serious, and it doesn't. I find that comedy, for example, on the doors is one of the best things you can have. Just cracking a joke, just like, or smiling. People think that on the doors they have to be this super serious, like, hey, you don't like be funny. If you can find a way to make somebody laugh in the first 10 seconds you interact with them. I mean, think about this. When was the last time you did not like somebody for making you laugh?
Great point.
Never, right? You've never looked at a person and be like, man, that Stetson guy, I can't stand him, man. He makes me laugh too much. Never, we like people. So I find that, like you said, making it fun, like find ways to make yourself laugh. When someone pisses you off, when a customer cusses you out, find a way just to laugh at it. Laugh at yourself. Look at the man in the mirror and be like, that's funny. Because I mean, life is too short to be serious. And so I find that people just need to be themselves a little more and just learn to laugh and comedy and just, like make them laugh, make them smile, whatever. Because I like that one. I see when usually the people that are high achievers are people that understand that, hey, have fun along the way, so.
Definitely having fun. This job is hard enough. Don't make it harder. Have fun, smile, laugh, crack jokes. Life is way too short to take any of this stuff way too seriously.
It is. And life is also too short to not hear Stetson Soffer rap. So fun fact about Stetson is that he used to be a rapper. Is that
a rapper? Yes, that's what they call us. Yes.
All right. So I'm gonna just pick any.
Pick whatever you want.
All right. So Stetson is a great rapper. Soffer D was the stage name. So check this out. So little fun fact about Stetson. Okay, listen to this. It is great. I have seen him rap some like just freestyle. Check this out. I'm gonna put it on a Drake instrumental. He has no clue what it is. Check this out.
Ooh,
this one good?
This is good. Fun fact: I rapped on this before. Check it out on SoundCloud. Pound Cake Freestyle, Soffer D. Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. All right. Okay. Yeah. I'm Ashton B with it. I'm Jack P with it. I get the solar on your roof, no fees with it. LGCY, come see why. Me and General John, now you know why.
Let's go. That's good. Stetson, such a privilege and such an honor to have you on here. Thank you so much, brother. I'm telling you, connect with this guy.
Stetson Soffer
on Instagram.
Yes.
Connect with him, learn from him.
Yes.
He is a wealth of knowledge and one of the most humble, genuine leaders. And he will share, I'm sure, insights with you. So thank you again.
Thank you, John.
I'm excited to see how you're going to end the year. Kobe year loading. Phase 4, let's go.
Phase 4, baby. Post-credit scene, phase 5, we'll talk in 2023. Thank you, John, for having me. What you have built here in Southern California is amazing. this podcast, your family, the everything that you're building. I'm just happy to be a part of it. So thank you, my brother.
Let's go. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Let's go.
Woo!
Was that? Oh,